Hello guys, it's been another great week here at the University of South Carolina, which means another great episode of Spurs Up. Connor's back and we missed him last week, but Nick stepped in and took care of the job just fine. We have a new guest here with us who's actually familiar with the University of South Carolina, and he's pretty familiar in the journalism school. Writer for Gamecock Central, Collyn Taylor. How are you doing today, sir?
I am doing great. Thank you guys for having me on.
Absolutely. So let's just talk for a second. How is it now in the workforce or the official professional world of journalism working with Gamecock Central?
It's different. It's new. I mean, I did a lot of it when I was in school, so you kind of got the taste of it. But doing it full time, 40 plus hours a week, a little bit different. So I enjoy it, but it's a lot.
So you're writing for baseball and basketball?
Basketball and football. I traveled all the football, all the basketball, most of the basketball, and most of the baseball games over the course of the season.
So you graduated 17 from here, obviously. So can you talk about your experience in the JSchool? I guess it was kind of getting built while you were here, that whole transition. Talk about all that a little bit.
So I started out my first 2 years. I came to school in the fall of 13. Mm-hmm. Came to school and we were in the Coliseum, no windows. The promise of the place that's next door was kind of there. They were in the process of building it, and you just kind of had to wait out 2 years. And then you move in here with all the bells and whistles, the greenhouse, the senior semester rooms, the studio. I mean, all of it was top of the line, and kind of used that to my advantage. Got some hands-on experience compared to what you would get at the Coliseum, and I feel like it prepared me pretty well for where I am, hopefully where I am today.
Very nice. What about food? What food place do you like the most? Back when it was all like weird and different.
Pandini's was a place. I don't know if you guys had Pandini's.
I think they closed that down.
Yeah, they closed it down. It was in the Russell House, and it was this great pizza place.
Really?
You could feel your arteries clogging when you ate it.
Oh, nice.
But it was awesome. I mean, it was just it was the on the meal swipe, and it was the real deal.
So dealing with print, I know we talk about journalism in the J School, and you think more so people that are doing productions or being in front of the camera, but specifically with sports.
Yeah.
Print, how does that differ as far as covering sports or maybe being more aware? I know you still have to stay up to date as a production specialist or as a reporter, but just as much as you do as a print journalist. But is there a difference? Where's the trade-off? I mean, besides obviously not being on camera.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you get a little bit more into the weeds with some things. You're able to kind of delve down a little bit deeper into a story because you don't really have a time frame. You're not limited to a 2.5 minute package or a 3 minute or 5 minute news segment. So you can kind of get down into the weeds of different stories. So that's kind of the biggest thing for me, is that I know TV news and when you're on camera it's a little bit different. So I try to kind of give the other stuff that goes along with it rather than just, who won or things like that, which is why people come to more of the TV side of it. I try to do a little bit more in-depth stuff, and you're in the press box, you're not in the elements as much when you're doing print. But it's a little bit more in the weeds, a little bit more trying to get to know the people around the programs and report on it. And
with being like more in depth, like you said, what does that day to day look like? I know you said about 40 hours a week, but just the preparatory or the preparation, I guess, for getting those numbers or getting those stats. What does that look like as far as research and development is concerned?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different great sites that I can utilize. I use a lot of KenPom for basketball, a lot of football and basketball reference, and baseball is a little different because college baseball is not to the level of football and basketball at the college level. There's a lot of spreadsheets on my laptop where I'm trying to plug in numbers and calculate different things, and there's a lot of different notes that I jot down, a lot of little different math that I do that helps me kind of stay in the weeds with different numbers and different things. And I mean, I'll have spreadsheets ranging from roster numbers, scholarship breakdowns, things like that, just to stay up to date on all the different stuff going on, because there's so much that you don't really think about until you start to really cover on a day-to-day basis.
And you think about scholarships, that doesn't even come to mind where you're thinking, just like you said, on the day-to-day, that's I can only imagine how tedious that can be sometimes, or not tedious, but you really have to be thorough when you're doing these levels of research. So I mean, that's amazing.
It's amazing, and you don't think about it too, because we do a lot of recruiting. So we cover a lot of basketball, a lot of football, a lot of baseball recruiting. You only get a certain number of scholarships for basketball, so that dictates who you write about, how many guys you can offer in a certain class. So we have to know those things, because if we're writing about, say, a kid in the 2020 class who's thinking about coming to Carolina and they don't have a scholarship, then it's pretty much a moot point to write about him. unless something crazy happens. So you have to keep that stuff in mind, because if you don't, then it could really impact your work. And if you don't look like you know what you're talking about, then you come off kind of looking pretty dumb.
Yeah.
Right. So you're talking more print. You're on the print side of stuff. So how's your social media presence play into all that? Like what
you have 3,000 followers on Twitter.
A whole 3,000. I try to keep it light. At the end of the day, and I tell people all the time, like, this is just a game. What I'm covering is college kids playing a child's game. So you try to keep it fun, you try to keep it light. Sports are meant to be fun. So I joke around, I try to paint. If you're on Twitter, if you're at the game, you're probably not on Twitter. So I try to tweet for the people that aren't at the game, trying to give them some more atmosphere, some more stuff going on around the game compared to just, Keyshawn Bryant hits a jumper and then it's 52-48 or whatever it is, because more than likely than not, you're following the game some way. So I try to keep it fun, I try to keep it light, and then I'll also tweet out links to my stories, tweet out different promotional stuff for our websites, whatever we're doing. So I try to keep it light and fun while still maintaining a little bit of that professional side.
Right,
as well.
and I saw that on your Twitter, one of your most impressed tweets, or one of them, had most impressions and whatnot, was like a Steven Garcia tweet. So,
really?
Yeah. So what's like? I saw. I think it was said Steven Garcia like legend, and it was like a little video that you posted, and it was really cool. We had him on the show last semester, so I thought that was so funny. But you a big Steven Garcia guy?
Yeah, I missed him by a little bit, which is frustrating. But I've gotten to know him a little bit through some different avenues. Obviously, covering the team a little bit. He's around him a little bit too. So. Yeah, I know Steven a little. I know a lot of the guys that have come through the programs the last few years, and interesting characters.
So you're the writer for basketball. How do you feel about this season? And what are you thinking about? I know you're also the baseball writer. So how do you feel about those seasons? Both baseball coming or as it develops, and basketball as it comes to an end.
Basketball is interesting. 2 really bad losses in the non-con. I think Frank Martin would say that Stetson was a bad loss. He's admitted that, and they're playing pretty well right now. 8-5 in the SEC with some big opportunities, especially against LSU. If they win, I mean, they can lose one more game in the regular season and still make the tournament, I think, and take some help in Nashville going to the SEC tournament. But there's an avenue. I think they're playing postseason basketball. I think whether it's the NIT or the NCAA tournament, I think they're playing sometime in March. And with baseball, it's still, you don't really know a whole lot. They're 4 games in, but there's more talent on the team. They like where they are. I think they'll make the postseason again. This is a different team than we've seen in the last couple of years. I think it's safe to say that. Yeah.
Dealing with basketball also, it's been turned on its head. It's more of a guard-centric team, whereas in the past you had Chris Silva and Mike Kotsar. They were pretty much holding down the fort in the paint, and now that post presence is I would say it's a bit of a lack there now, but I think as you said, to your point, postseason play is what we're going to be looking forward to in some form or another. Maybe NIT. I'm thinking more NIT than the tournament, but remains to be seen. This team is a team that plays for momentum, and I think we've seen that in the past with the Final Four runs.
Yeah.
So do you see that maybe being a potential, maybe a possibility this season?
Yeah, I mean, if they make the tournament, it's all about matchups, and it's all about kind of if you're playing your best ball at the time. And I think Frank Martin's style of play really lends itself to the tournament when the whistles kind of get swallowed a little bit and you play a little bit more physical. So, yeah, if they make the tournament or the NIT, I could definitely see them making a deep run. And I like the way Frank's playing, because you have so many guys that are long and athletic and fast that you put them all out there on the court and let them run, and you have your one big and Kotsar, and it's just a different style than what we've seen with whether that's Chris Silva and Michael Carrera on the floor at the same time, or Chris Silva and Mike Kotsar. It's just a completely new, and I think better for what their talent is right now, style of play.
Right. I think that Justin Minaya injury plays a big factor too. That's actually a tough loss as is right now.
Because that's a prolific scorer for your team,
exactly.
And not only is he a prolific scorer, he's the best defender, and he's that senior presence.
Exactly.
He has that veteran's mentality. He's experienced. He's been on some teams with different looks, and you could argue that he probably is that missing piece for the difference between the NIT run or maybe making that round of 64 in the NCAA tournament.
Couldn't agree more. Well,
Well, guys, that's going to wrap it up for us today. We thank Collyn for being a guest, and we're like I said, we're glad to have Connor back. And until next time, South Carolina, Spurs up.